The K1 is the debut offering in a brand new series from Oppo, which offers an in-display fingerprint sensor at a very affordable price. In fact, in the Indian market, this is currently the cheapest in-display fingerprint sensor phone you can buy, which gives it a unique edge over the competition. However, is this all Oppo has concentrated on, or is it a good all-rounder as well? Let's find out. The plastic body of the Oppo K1 is well put together and the phone has a good heft to it, which we like. The back of the Oppo K1 has a gradient design which is very striking in the astral blue color scheme. It's also available in piano black. The 3D injection molded back creates some cool effects when held against sunlight, however it does pick up fingerprints quite easily. Button placement is good and so is the feedback of them. The single slot on the left can accommodate 2 nano SIM cards and a micro SD card. Dual 4G VoLTE is also supported. At the bottom we have a speaker grill, a micro USB port and a 3.5mm headphone socket. The Oppo K1 features a 6.41-inch Full HD Plus display with Corning Gorilla Glass 5, which is always welcomed. Now since this phone has a fingerprint sensor under the display, Oppo has had to use an AMOLED panel, making it one of the few phones in this segment to sport it. Punchy colors and deep blacks come with the territory of such a display, but you can tweak the color temperature from the settings app if required. The Oppo K1 has a water drop notch on the top, so there's plenty of screen real estate to be had. The bezel around the display is visible, but it's not very thick and neither is the chin at the bottom. Now, due to the limited space around the selfie camera, there's no notification LED. As always, there's a screen guard pre-applied on the phone. It's nice to see Oppo hasn't compromised on the main specifications too much. It's powered by a reliable Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 octa-core SoC, which we've seen in many phones such as the Realme 2 Pro and even the Xiaomi Mi A2. In India, the Oppo K1 comes with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. However, there's no FM radio support. The K1 is still rocking ColorOS 5.2 that's based on Android 8.1 Oreo. GameSpace has an upgraded look and Oppo's HyperBoost game optimizations includes PUBG Mobile 2, which promises a boost in loading times and gaming performance. Now we tried it out and it's really hard to tell if there's a tangible benefit to be had here, as network performance is a big variable in such a title. In any case, the game does run smoothly on medium settings, which is all you really need to care about. You also get additional features such as Smart Sidebar, which is a pop-out tray for app shortcuts, Smart Scan, which lets you do some multilingual translations, and O roaming, which creates a virtual SIM card when you're overseas with affordable data packs. The browser and Oppo's App Store continue to clutter your notification shade with alerts and ads. You can disable the App Store spam, but the browser continues to spam you even after disabling this feature in the settings. The in-display fingerprint sensor works in a similar manner as other phones with such a setup, and by that we mean it's not as fast as a capacitive sensor. You'll need to keep your finger properly aligned with the fingerprint icon for a full second before it successfully authenticates you. You can choose between 3 different fingerprint animations for the lock screen. We found the face unlock to be a lot quicker and more convenient most of the time. The large 6.41-inch display is great for watching videos. Colors really pop and the black levels are satisfyingly deep. The speaker is fairly loud when watching YouTube videos, but for some apps like PUBG Mobile, it sounds a bit weak even at full volume. The audio quality is strictly average at best, sounding a bit tinny and one-sided. The Oppo K1 has no trouble handling heavy games too. Asphalt 9 Legends ran perfectly smoothly with the graphics cranked all the way to high, while PUBG Mobile delivered consistently playable frame rates at the medium graphics setting. We're also happy to note that the phone doesn't get too hot even when gaming for more than 30 minutes at a stretch. Oppo has used a 25-megapixel sensor for the front, which it usually reserves for its selfie-centric F series. It has an AI beautification system. You can manually choose the level of beautification too if needed. Now, enabling this tends to smoothen out the texture of your skin a bit too much, to a point where it becomes very obvious that some sort of filter has been used. If you're into such kind of selfies, then you'll probably like it, else you can simply turn it off. Image quality without beautification is good in daylight, as textures like skin look a lot more natural. You can enable background blur for selfies too, but the edge detection isn't very accurate. Selfies hold up well under low light too, but the bokeh mode's edge detection issues are more exaggerated here. You get auto HDR for the front camera, which helps correct the exposure a bit when shooting against bright light. The rear 60-megapixel sensor has an f1.7 aperture, which technically means it should be able to capture good low-light photos as it allows more light to enter the sensor. The Oppo K1 does manage this, but only to an extent. Noise is handled well in shadows and darker regions in general, but textures aren't very detailed and distant objects and landscapes lack good definition. However, macros in low light do fare a bit better. Now, when shooting in good light, the main camera captures good details in close-ups. Edges are well defined and colors aren't very exaggerated. Landscapes also pack in a fair bit of detail, and HDR does a decent job of balancing the exposure. There's a 2x zoom button in the viewfinder, but it's just digital and not optical. Shutter lag isn't an issue here, but we noticed that you can't use the shutter button in rapid successions to take multiple pictures, as there's a waiting period of about a second or two before the shutter button is usable again. It's a little annoying as we're used to being able to quickly snap multiple pictures in quick succession with most smartphones. The second 2-megapixel sensor is only used for edge detection when shooting in portrait mode. It does a decent job with objects and people with a few minor misses here and there. However, the camera takes a while to focus in this mode even when shooting in good light. The camera app gives you the standard shooting modes such as panorama, AR stickers, and an expert mode which lets you manually adjust the ISO, focus, and shutter speed. For video, the Oppo K1 can shoot up to a 4K resolution. Continuous autofocus also works very well here. At 4K, the white balance is generally a bit off as daylight footage looks a bit too warm and colors are oversaturated. There's also no stabilization at this resolution, which is a bit disappointing. At 1080p though, image quality is better with more accurate white balance and the footage is stabilized. The Oppo K1 features a 3600 mAh battery, which lasted for a decent 12 hours and 36 minutes in our HD video loop test. Now this translates to well over a day's worth of actual usage, which typically included music streaming, a few calls, internet browsing, and some gaming. The phone doesn't support Oppo's VOOC fast charging, but you do get a 10-watt power adapter, which takes about 2.5 hours to fully charge the phone. Keeping in mind that this is the only phone with an in-display fingerprint sensor, the launch price of 16,990 rupees for the Oppo K1 is not too bad. We're sure it will drop eventually and fall in line with other Snapdragon 660 powered smartphones with similar RAM and storage configurations, such as the Realme 2 Pro and the Vivo V9 Pro. Low-light camera performance could have been better, and we really wish Oppo fixes that annoying spam from some of its apps in the next version of ColorOS. On the bright side, you do get good app and gaming performance, a sharp and punchy display, decent battery life, a capable selfie camera, and of course that novelty in-display fingerprint sensor, all of which makes the Oppo K1 a decent package to consider. So thanks for watching our review of the Oppo K1, and for all things tech, log on to gadgets360.com.